Hello, welcome to Doctor Who Rebrief. I'm Phil.
I'm Rob, hiya.
I'm Chris, hiya.
We are going to be talking today about Doctor Who The Edge of Destruction, the third serial of the classic Doctor Who. It's very short, only 2 episodes, so that's good after some of the longer runs of 6 that we've struggled through. Chris, what happened in this one?
When we last left the crew, they were coming home from Skaro. The TARDIS starts to wobble and shake and they all fall to the ground. And it's like, oh, what's going to happen? The crew get sort of cabin fever. They can't work out where they are. They can't work out who sabotaged the controls. They look outside and the kind of ship says you're somewhere, basically you're at the start of the solar system. It's like, oh man, who set this here? And they're all kind of squabbling a bit. Halfway through, so the cliffhanger is a pair of hands coming into the scene behind the Doctor's head, and you're thinking, oh, who's it going to be? Could someone have got into the TARDIS and done it? And the resolution of the episode is the TARDIS was trying to help them. A button had got stuck on the control that was basically couldn't stop sending them back in time. So it sent them right back to the dawn of time, and no one had sabotaged it. It was just a broken spring. Laughs ensue. This is after cabin fever and Susan trying to stab someone with a pair of scissors. Or was it Barbara? I can't remember.
Susan.
Somebody tried to stab somebody with some scissors.
You don't need that.
So like
got a bit stir crazy.
Very contaminated cabin fever type episode, which was interesting.
Did you like it?
No, I think it's quite an interesting idea, but I just think the payoff wasn't there. Like, to wait when this would have gone out 2 weeks, and then the payoff is, oh, one of our springs got stuck on this machine, which is essentially, space travel.
Time travel.
Yeah, and time travel.
This is an
incredibly amazing piece of technology that's bigger on the inside than on the outside. And the resolution of this horrendous fault is a spring was broken. It was a real letdown. It's very overlong. The tension just isn't there because you think someone's on the ship, you wait a week, you come back for the next episode, and it turns out it's Ian. And it's like, oh, great.
Ian's on the ship. Whoa!
There's no explanation. They keep falling over a lot. Really disappointing. Naff. I think it was the worst one we've watched thus far.
That's a...
Yeah, it was no Skaro, was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you guys loved it.
Did you like it?
Despite it being only 2 episodes long, it still felt like it was 7. It dragged a bit, and I felt that it lacked the kind of change of scenery and the excitement, because it was literally between kind of 2 or 3 rooms in the TARDIS, and there just wasn't really much happening.
No, I quite liked the fact that it was in the TARDIS. I quite liked the idea of having a TARDIS set episode, and that kind of, sets the ground for...
They've done that since.
Yeah, they have. There's a Tom Baker one where it's set inside the TARDIS, and then more recently there was one with Amy and Rory, and they were all in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
And things would go... Was it Clara?
Clara.
Yes. That's all in the TARDIS. So, I quite like that, and you get to see a bit more of the TARDIS. That's quite nice. But, yeah, it dragged... It just felt very anticlimactic, because, all this tension... And they went a bit stir-crazy very quickly. It was like, oh no, we're stuck. And within 10 minutes,
they're kill each other.
They're going at each other with scissors and going a bit crazy and accusing each other of sabotaging the TARDIS. So, yeah, not too sure. Any highlights at all? Guys? At all? Anything? No highlights at all there. So, so that's good. Okay, what about lowlights? Keep it to 1. Don't be here all day.
Yeah, just a resolution. I get that they're trying to teach you how basic electronics works and the idea of a spring-controlled button on sort of circuits.
It's a show with an educational remit. They've got to do their
job.
job.
And it's useful. I now know how a torch works, but I didn't need 50 minutes to teach me that. Just boring, so dry.
Let me give you a demonstration. Now look, when I put my thumb on there, the light comes on. And it only stays on so long as my thumb is pressing that switch. As soon as I take it off, a little spring inside releases the switch here, and out goes the light.
Well, for me, there was a lot of just spontaneous injuries. At one point, the Doctor just touches the console and just falls over, and that's him out for about half an episode. And it's just like, these things aren't explained. People just fall over and people are just ill. Why? And it was very jarring for the flow of the story, I think. So yeah, just spontaneously falling over, touching the TARDIS console and going, ah, that hurt, and then just being knocked out for half an hour.
Do we have any? Were there any Doctor Who debuts? Anything from the mythology of Doctor Who that's become now quite well known that we see for the first time?
Well, we touched on it earlier, but it is the first time they've really spent actual time inside the TARDIS.
And we got to see some different rooms.
Yeah, we see like the med bay. Before we'd only really seen the entrance, and they actually explore it a lot more. So that does come up later on. You know, there's all sorts going on in the TARDIS later on. So I guess that's one.
It's kind of the first time it's alluded that the TARDIS has a kind of characteristic, and then it's a character in itself.
Yeah,
so
and kind of like a although they don't directly address it having sentience or anything, it's sort of loose.
So it's like the button was broken, the TARDIS is trying to protect you by sending you all the way back in time. Like the TARDIS it knows what it's doing, which obviously later on in here when it becomes human form and it has its little quirks and its own characteristics. So I think that kind of paves the way for something positive at least.
What about hoologies? Because there were no extra characters in this to die, so do we have any symbolic hoologies at all?
Barbara's got a really good watch that I think does time freeze or something.
Oh, I don't know. I was trying to concentrate when they were explaining that.
Her watch isn't. So she lobs it at the wall, and it's a sick watch, and she throws it into like a gong or something. Nice watch, never mind.
But it has to be the spring that breaks, causing the button to jam. So not only did the spring die, but it took the episode down with it.
It was the whole reason for the episode.
Mate,
that spring's death caused us to watch 40 minutes of them arguing in a TARDIS. I think mine, it's quite similar to yours. There's a kind of like a clock that's in the shape of a cathedral that sits on the side to the edge of the TARDIS, and it melts. It spontaneously melts for no reason whatsoever. Well, I mean, there's kind of an explanation, but it doesn't really make any sense. It's very much like, oh well, time is being returned to us or something.
Like, we just watched this episode, and it feels like we watched it months ago, because I could not tell you what happened. It's so bad.
It's like I've tried to erase it from my memory. It just feels so distant.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But no, I was paying attention to that explanation, and I was focusing. I wasn't like being, distracted by anything, and I haven't got a clue what she was saying. Time was being returned to them, so the clock melted.
It made us aware of time.
By taking time away from us?
Yes. And it replaced time by the light on the fault indicator.
So, sad clock, but from the previews I've seen of future episodes, it's still there, so obviously it unmelts at some point, so
sick.
Good to know that it comes back from the dead.
Time Lord technology.
Okay, any last thoughts? Would you recommend this to a friend?
No thoughts on it at all, don't bother.
Nothing.
Move on. Cook a nice dinner instead. Move on.
Maybe have it on the background and.
No,
don't even. No, Rob prefer silence.
Okay. Well, that's it from us for this week. Join us next week. We're going to be doing a little mini episode because the next serial is Marco Polo, which much of it is missing.
Yeah, it's missing.
So what we're going to do is that they've released bits of it on a DVD where they've got some stills and they've got the audio track, so we're going to try watching that. It'll probably be a very short episode, so we'll be back with that next week. In the meantime, click on Chris's face here to subscribe to this channel. Click on Rob's face here to go visit Doctor Who Debrief, where they cover the modern day Peter Capaldi episodes of Doctor Who. And in the meantime, goodbye. See you next week.